The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Sometimes we are faced with a challenge that requires gritting our teeth, tightening our belts, and getting on with it. Sometimes we are required to go to the depths of hell and back. And in this case, that is the green hell. The Nürburgring Nordschleife is the scene of the race once again, and our drivers must dig deep to find both speed and bravery. We'll find out who's got it as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Beacon. With me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes, our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dookie Beard. Sean, the ring has a lot to talk about, but quickly, can you introduce us to this legendary track?
Oh, Joe, yes, I can. Today, the drivers must make an assault on what is widely considered the world's most demanding road course, the Nürburgring's Nordschleife. The northern loop twists in 154 turns, rise and fall for 20.8 kilometers or 12.9 miles to you and me through Germany's beautiful Eifel Mountains. Now, the circuit boasts an elevation change of nearly 1,000 feet per lap, Joe. But words can't do justice to this place we call Green Hell. So let's jump on board the GSRC Lotus 49 and take a look at some of the more interesting parts of the Northern Loop.
All right, we've got Billy Bob Wright on the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around the Nordschleife. The Nord curve has deceptively early braking because of its downhill entry, so be on your guard. From there, we're going to skip ahead since there's not enough time to show you a full lap. The 49 is unique in that it's a car on iRacing that can actually get air at fluke lots. That makes the double apexer that follows even more terrifying. Just up the road, you'll get another little hop just before the braking for the Swedish cross. Hug the left side as best you can so that you can set yourself up for Ehrenberg. You don't want to put a wheel in the grass on the right anyway, since there's almost no coming back if you do. Expect a few pass attempts into here throughout the race. Then, if we jump ahead to compression, that leads us directly into Oudener Forst. The tight barriers in this series of S's means you really don't want to mess around. Races end incredibly quickly when drivers lose it on entry. Like most S's, ideally you want to set yourself up for each subsequent corner through here. Once you get around the final right-hander, open up the throttle and let it fly. Farther along at the bottom of the hill, X-Mule may prove tricky in putting the power down. The way the track crests on exit tends to take the grip away. From there, bring the car across the track and then lift to make it through Lauda Lakes. You can take it faster, but you want the car settled for the heavy braking into Bergwerks. Try not to early apex this uphill bend. Being able to straighten off the exit will pay off in speed climbing the mountain. Now, Bravery Corner is scary in most cars, but in the 49, you'll be lifting even before the braking zone just to keep it on the right line. The bumps get emphasized with this car's lack of downforce, and so much of driving the car revolves around dealing with that. And then, of course, there's the infamous carousel. Spot your brake marker, swing it in from the outside, and hold a consistent speed around the banking. Be easy on the gas coming out because the car won't grip quickly. Across the top of the mountain, you've got another spot where you'll get airborne with Flansgarten. Don't push your luck because you need the car planted when you land to get through the uphill right-hander. Over the hill, you've got another scary little hop just at this left kink. It's easy to get out of shape here. Then, there's the fast entry into Swallowtail, which is another place where losing control is almost always a race ender. Slow the car up as you guide it through the right-hand sweeper, then try to carry speed over the crest of the left-hand bend. From there, it's a short burst to the mini carousel. Coming off of here can be tough since the Lotus doesn't like to accelerate and turn at the same time. Stay to the left for the right line into Gallow Hill. This extremely long corner requires patience and practice to figure out just how soon you can put your foot to the floor. And the sooner you can do that, the better because it dumps you onto the Dottinger Hoa. Another thing unique to the Lotus is that Antonius Beach isn't quite flat out. If this kink scares you, you're not alone. That sets us up for Tiergarten, which presents the difficult task of slowing the car and changing direction multiple times. Once you reach Hohenrun, if you don't have control of the car, you're probably going to be hitting something. Keep it tight to the apexes, and then don't forget that turn 13 is deceptively slow. Hopefully, you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around the Nordschleife. And And just think that is only part of the course that we saw in that lap guide. Now, let's take a look at the points championship as we wait for our sessions to load here. Ove Tranqueray, of course, still on top. And he's got 5 points over Dudignon still. I really don't think anybody expected that at this point. The interesting part, of course, is that Billy Bob Wright has closed in as well, and he is only 8 points back. So if something happens to Tranqueray, Billy Bob is actually within touching distance of taking the lead in the Drivers' Championship. AJ Bear has himself in 4th with a pretty good season, and Bruce Nelson, who we haven't seen a whole lot of up at the very front, is still within the top 5. Now, Sean, what about the Constructors' Championship at this point?
Well, let's take a look at it here real quick, Joe. Norway still in command here up top, but look where the United States has come to now. Just a point away from Norway, up another spot this week. France is going to take the tumble down to 3rd, but only 5 points back from our leader, Norway, with still plenty of time left to go. It's Australia who needs to get busy as they've got some work to do here to get themselves up into the top 3. We've got a couple nations tied back there at 26 points back each there, Joe, and that race for the top 4, a pretty good one there. Things certainly not settled at the top.
Absolutely. Now, those who are familiar with iRacing and used to the normal layout that they use now, which is, of course, that they have a short warm-up, they have qualifying in the session, and then they go straight to the race. Well, this is going to be a little different. They have qualifying throughout the week here at the Nürburgring, so we're not going to see these cars put their laps in for the grid. Those have already been done, and we'll call it out to you once their warm-up here finishes up. And the interesting thing, usually, Sean, I put notes about passing zones and danger zones. I had to be a little bit more vague about this one just because the track is so unique in that sense.
Yeah, Joe, it really is. And so we like to talk about where are the trouble spots on track. Well, they lie at every turn here. We know that. We've been here so many times, and we've actually you and I both competed in races here. It's really trouble abounds. Listen, whenever this car is not making contact with the track, it's not a good thing. It doesn't land well. It doesn't always stick the landing, and we'll see that several times today around this track. As far as passing, you know what? It's just all about patience, okay? It's inevitable that the guy in front of you may make a mistake or find trouble himself, and you've got to be just as on guard for that as this track gets very narrow in some spots as you've got to be for finding the great passing opportunity. Listen, you'll get a great opportunity at the end, okay, down on Dottender Ho. It's a wonderful opportunity to make a pass, and you'll hit 200 miles an hour down there. So, like I said, maybe a little bit of patience here is better than pushing it too hard and finding yourself off track.
So with a bit of a larger field here today, and we actually have a little bit of time, so why don't we go through our grid and tell you how they're going to start this race. From a standing start, mind you, Mick Claridge is going to be on the pole with Michel Dudignon starting in 2nd. AJ Bear will be 3rd, and then row 2 will be completed by Ove Tranqueray. Then, of course, in row 3, we've got Billy Bob Wright starting in 5th with Brett Rial starting 6th. Evan Merrill will kick things off in 7th with Jack Ulstead in 8th. Alex Albert in 9th, and Tommy Unhola starting in the top 10.
All right, Joe, then we're going to go round 2, row 6. It's going to be Andrew Eng and Justin Hall. Row 7, Richard Morin and Benjamin Zocco. Row 8, Philip Bennett around the lake with Thomas Ellison starting at 16th. Hideki Koivitso, 17th for him. Andres Bruno, 18th. And in row 10, going to be Michael Sullivan and Don Tell Me Something Good starting 20th today.
And of course, in 21st, Laurent Raffago with Marcelo Aiello starting in 22nd. Marco Ravioli in 23rd with Michael Steiner in 24th. And with it being a bit of a larger field, we've got a few drivers that we're not used to seeing in this group. Sean, are you at all nervous about how that's going to go?
Well, Yes. I hope they've practiced. Okay. For the sake of not only themselves, but the drivers around them, I hope they've gotten a fair amount of practice and they're ready to take this thing on today. It is a challenge under any circumstance. It's 105 degrees on track, Joe. And what does that mean? Well, it means the early stages of this race are going to be very, very tricky as they try to get some heat in these tires.
And you can see them starting to grid up now out there, which is going to be a little tricky with, you can see Don Good and a few of these guys around him towards the back of the pack. Michael Sullivan, Lauren Raffago will be starting on a curve, a very sharp curve, mind you. So they're going to have a lot of difficulty trying to get the power down as soon as the green drops. Everybody at the front going to have a very short run down to the north curve. And as the engines idle and we wait for them to start the rev, for the lights to come up, it might be about a game of survival out here today for a number of drivers. Could throw up a surprise as the lights go up and engines sing. Green flag comes out. Mick Claridge with a great start. Michel Dudignon less of one, but it's such a short run that AJ Bear can't do anything with it. Oh, but Dudignon swings wide, and that's going to open up second place. He slots down into third. Tranqueray behind him in fourth. Those are our two main championship contenders into third or fourth position. Everyone behind them seems to have gotten through safe here, Sean.
So far, so good, Joe. I'm scanning through the entire field. It looks like most have gone line of stern at this point. They get through the very first technical section of this course here.
Now, if you've never seen a car such as the Lotus 49 go through fluke plots, get ready because here we go. Mick Claridge climbs the hill. Going to be the first one to get airborne here, and they do indeed get airborne.
Yeah, and this is where I talked about the car leaving the track surface. I heard a driver yesterday saying he handles that like he would a dirt bike, Joe, giving it attitude through the air.
You definitely have to modulate the throttle. Now they come up to the Swedish cross. Claridge still leading, and AJ Bear actually giving quite a chase. I wonder if maybe Bear has found some speed since we last saw him, because he is within half a second and not looking like he's going to drop at all. In fact, looking at their grid times, he was within about 4/10 of Claridge.
Some serious battling back here for 11th place, man. Zoko gets through, but Tommy Unhola and Philip Blake and Andrew Eng just really almost locked up wheels there, battling here for the 11th spot.
Certainly some patience required early on with you being in close quarters. Those times it's just about driving the track around here as Lake swings it through. I believe he's a bit of a newcomer here in the 49, even though we've seen him in retro machinery plenty of times here on the Global Sim Racing channel, but he's used to a little bit more high downforce cars. He is certainly hounding Unhola now as they head towards Miss Hit Miss. Tommy looking a little bit faster through those series of right-handers. And now finally they hit Defense Valley. Up in second, Tranqueray and Dudignon in a nice little fight. AJ Bear had a problem that we have missed because he's been overtaken by two cars. Looks like we might have a replay here. Rare that you can get an off track, but it looks like as we look at the replay, such is the case, as he swung it in a little too early coming out of Defense Valley, and two cars go by in a hurry. Oh no! And that was another two off tracks in one lap at the start for AJ
Wow.
Bear. That was the one that we were looking at there was coming through Metzgefeld.
Man, Joe, Mick Claridge is off to the races, as they say here.
And Claridge Rose coming through Bravery Corner.
My fault.
Wow.
Curb Oh, I think it was the curb, Joe.
Yeah,
you see him get out to the left here.
Just clips it. I am just amazed at how snakebit Claridge has been on the broadcasted races. He's been on a tear everywhere else, but for some reason, he just can't seem to get it together in these afternoon races, as we're only still on the first lap out here, and this hands it over to Michel Dudignon, and Ove Trangrade is giving chase. This sets up an interesting battle, Sean, because as I keep saying, it's these two that are fighting for the championship.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of know this is to be a favorite of Ove Trangrade's. This is his track, man. Loves running here, and Dudignon's got to have a fight on his hands today. Nothing's coming easy. I'll tell you what, nothing's coming easy for Billy Bob Wright right now. Evan Merrill giving him a really, really good fight here, Joe. Evan, not a driver we're used to seeing, but the New Yorker seems to be on point here in the early stages.
Wow, he is right on top of that gearbox as he swings off to the side. Billy Bob keeping a bit of a defensive lineup into ice corner. Up and over the hill they go, down towards Flansgard, another of the spots where the cars get air. Beautiful onboard shot there with Merrill, showing them give that little hop and then crunching down as they bottom out once they land. Billy Bob finding a little bit of space now as they come through the Beloff S's and up towards Swallowtail.
Yes. One of our favorite spots on track here, Joe. Folks, remember, don't talk to Joe and Swallowtail, okay?
One of the more interesting things. Oh, and Billy Bob swings wide coming out of the mini carousel. That hands it over on a silver platter to Evan Merrill, who gets himself into fourth now. Let's look at the replay on that one. Looks like maybe just a little too hot into there.
Yeah, and it's easy to cook it right there, so no problem. All's well. He'll get a shot on Dotner-Ho, maybe to get a little bit of that back. The leaders, though, coming down Dotner-Ho now. There you see him, line astern.
Trangrade's got a good run, but he's not willing to try and make the pass yet. He lifts. Of course, that's because it's very marginal trying to get through single file there through Antonius Beach.
Yeah, you're not doing it there.
But still a three-car battle for the lead. AJ Baer, despite those mistakes on lap one, has recovered and is on the back of first and second already. And they complete that first lap coming to the North Curve once again.
In 6.5 minutes, Joe.
Just incredible. And you know the interesting thing about this, whoa, big slide from Ove Trangrade, but somehow holds it. My goodness. This is the most on edge I've seen a number of cars, and especially for each of them to come back. I think the only retirement we've seen, at least on air, is Claridge. We've had a few that we haven't caught. Marcelo Aiello, Marco Ravioli, and Michael Steiner are out of this race as well. So 4 cars gone out of the 24 that started. But one of the things that I find interesting about this track, Sean, is that the lap is so long. Normally on some tracks you have cars that drivers that are strong in one half and not as strong in the other half. You see them kind of ebb and flow. Cars come together and go apart here over multiple times on the lap.
Yes, they do, Joe. Yes, they do. Oh, our leader, Dudignon, a little bit of trouble there. Oh, that was a close moment. He'd gotten 2 wheels off into the grass. Is able to recover. Didn't even cost him any time. I think Trangrade and Bear saw him get out of shape and said, you know what? We should probably back off and let things happen as they may happen. But nice recovery there for Dudignon.
A little bit farther back, Philip Lake making inroads as he's finally gotten past Tommy Unhola for a top 10 spot. They now head down through the foxhole into compression. And you can tell that Lake was being held up because he is stretching away quickly. Ahead of them, Jack Ulstead, regular in this series, he's got Benjamin Zoko trying to apply some pressure.
Yeah, Nolstein's had a good start, Joe. He stayed out of trouble here. It's right where he started. And and then we got someone off right there. Brett Rihali off. What happened to Brett?
Is this in Metzgerfeld? It looks like it. Ooh, just got loose. There's a tiny little crest coming into there that kind of throws me off when I try to brake, and I think that might be what happened to Brett.
He did. He kept it off the wall. I'm just backed into it a little bit. I think he's going to be fine. A couple cars got by, and he's going to slot back in a ninth. Pressure coming from Philip Lake, though, already.
Yeah, still a lot of racing yet to go, so he has time to recover. Just has to collect himself and clear his head now. That top three battle is not abated. AJ Bear falling off just a little bit, but Trangrade staying within half a second of the Frenchman Dudignon. They come up through Kesselchen now. Most cars, this section is just flat out, Sean. Not so in these cars.
Yeah, no. Just like right there. I mean, you're on a knife's edge. It feels like when you're getting through there, you're tiptoeing, Joe. A little bit of throttle, off the throttle, back to it. It's just the car is really skating through there.
And it doesn't help. Ove, wow. Taken a lot of curb in a number of corners. We've already seen that bite McClarridge, but the high temperatures seem to be causing a lot more squirrely cars than these drivers are used to.
Yeah. And practice session I was in just before this race, same temperature on track, partly cloudy, 105 degrees, and the car is with the grip really, really hard to find. Zoko putting in a lot of pressure on Jack Golstad right now. This is a battle for 7th place. These two having a bit of fun through the carousel here.
And did Andrew Ng have a problem potentially here?
He did, Joe. Oh, man. Was it? I think that was down at Hoak.
No, I think that was coming up into Style Strikeout. Wow, it's a hard hit to the outside. It's almost like he just outbraked himself and lost control. He's somehow got the car going once again. I can't believe that car is handling as good as it is. That just was a big swipe at the tires.
It does seem to still be handling. Nose crunched up pretty good, but I don't know. I think Andrew lives to fight another day here.
Significant development for that battle for the lead. Bear now fully dropping off a second and a half back from Trangrade. So then there were two. And Dudignon and Trangrade are left to fight amongst themselves.
You mean fight the Nordschleife?
Yeah. Some of these guys are brave enough that they're not as worried about the track. They're actually thinking about the car ahead. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Trangrade tries to get himself a nice run off of Gallo Hill on the Dadi Nerhoa, which they are approaching right now. He's within half a second. This is a critical moment, trying to find the power out of this long right-hander.
I think Ove going to swallow him up right here.
And this car, despite the no aerodynamic devices on it, just punches a huge hole in the air. And you see it right now as the Norwegian closes in on the Frenchman, swings to the inside, looking for a change for the lead. And I think we're going to see it for the first time. No, we're not. He comes back at him around the outside of Antonius Beach. Incredible, brave stuff from Michel Dudignon. He's not going to give this away willingly.
Ove sliding it in there.
I don't think our viewers quite understand how tough it is to go through that corner with one car, not let alone two.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're on the iRacing service and you haven't tried this combination, you have to experience this feeling here, Joe.
And Dudignon had two wheels in the grass and still somehow came out ahead. The fight is in him today, And that did bring AJ Bear back into things since it slowed them up through there. This is going to be possibly the hardest fight we've seen for the lead at this car and track combination since we first got to broadcast it. A little bit farther back, that battle for 7th not going away. Zoko still behind Ulstad.
No, I'm keeping a bit of an eye on that too, Joe. It's been fun. Jack still outpacing him just by a small margin.
You're going to see Zoko's... I love seeing that the car goes slack there as it gets into the air. And now he's got the slipstream of Ulstead coming up to the Swedish cross, but the track weaving back and forth and bobbing up and down means he's not going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, and you're not making a pass attempt here.
Whoa!
Oh boy, hang on.
Ulstead
Hang on, Jack.
Coming in really hot there into Ehrenberg, but keeps it together, somehow finds the apex and doesn't lose 7th. Through compression they go. And then into the tricky Oudenauer forced. Ulstead taking it all the way to the edge and getting out of shape, and he loses it. Zoko takes 7th. When Ulstead came out in front of Philip Lake, caused him a scare. We're going to watch the replay, though, first. We might want to switch over to Lake after he spins here, because... wow, that was a little bit scary there from Zoko's view. And then as we switch over to Lake, the number 7 had to really get on the binders when he was not expecting it. And now he is challenging Jack.
Yeah, Philip Lake now bringing this fight to Jack Ulstead. Now, you know, Lake started in 15th up to 10th already. Looking for more here. He's hounding Jack.
I guess he doesn't need downforce on a car. He is finding good pace no matter what you stick him in. Meanwhile, let's check in on the front because Trangrate's now got it down to 3/10. And once again, we find ourselves in one of the faster parts where the slipstream comes into play. And once again, AJ Bear has fallen off and away.
Yeah, you know, AJ seems to be able to get to them here in the technical sections of the course when things slow down a bit. But when they are wide open like this, he falls out of the picture. And I'll tell you what, watching Evan Merrill just a bit, man, this guy's having quite a drive, Joe. Sitting here in 4th all by himself. He's clear ahead and clear behind right now, up 3 spots.
I think that's probably exactly what Evan wants right now, is nobody to race against. Just worry about his car and the track as we continue to watch this fight for first. They go through the carousel and we've got lap traffic. Marcelo Ayala pulls off to the side. It's going to make it a little hairy for the drivers coming through. And Ayala, we mentioned DNF to that, I guess, is not the case, as he's repaired the car and come back out. So has Ravioli. Trangarade is just slathering the pressure on.
It's funny, I just went up to take a peek at that and see what they were up to, and much of the same, Joe.
He is making sure that Michelle has to work for this as they come through Brunchen.
Can't tell you how many times I've watched Ove and thought, okay, he's going off here. And just manages to, with a small flick of the wheel, he's back on pace.
Curious to see what's going to happen once they get up to Darinarhoa this time. Can Trangarade get it done? Last time he was denied when it looked like he easily had that first. They've still got 4 laps to go. Before they get to there. Oh, and Merrill has a problem. We were praising him. He does find the tires, and I think this is in Flansgarden. Oh, you know what? He was caught out by the car of Aiello. You're going to see them make slight contact.
Boy, what a tough break for Merrill there.
Yeah, I thought that those guys were on pace enough that maybe they wouldn't be a problem, but you can't really limp a car around this track, unfortunately. Now as we switch back to the leaders, Trangarade comes up behind him once again, slides to the inside. This time, is he going to move in front of him? No, he stays to the left. Now he moves back to the line. Now he's fully got it. Dudagnon, is he going to stay behind? Yes, he is. Not really a passing opportunity heading up to Tiergarten here. Back in 8th, though. Sounds like we've got a battle going on between Olstead and Lake.
Yeah, Joe, and setting up here for Dottender Ho. Let's see what kind of run that Lake can get at him. Unhola just behind these guys.
It'll be a 3-car fight. And you can see Olstead swinging back and forth, trying to break the draft. Lake closing up in that Martini livery. Looks to the inside. Is he brave enough to go too wide through the Antonius Beach? Olstead is not as he lifts. Oh, but he overshoots it. Tries to come back. Forces him off the track. They're side by side. Starts to lose it. He plows into Lake. Lake gets turned around. And Unhola goes by both of them.
Unhola gets the win there. This is crazy.
And unfortunately, Olstead doesn't seem to be too happy about that, but it's, I don't know, I guess if I was Olstead, I think the survival instincts would kick in. I would just lift and not try and make the pass on him there. But, you know, it's hard to say what to do in the heat of the moment. You can see Lake is going to have to come in to get repairs, sadly.
Well, hey, man, that's just racing. These guys have been racing together for a long time. That's a shame to see it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's at fault, really, there. It just, like you said, racing deal between those two. But now we're going to get to see what Ove Trangarade can do up at the front now with Dudagnon pushed into second. Let's give a little bit of an update of how everything sits, although Dudagnon maybe wants to peel our attention away from that.
He did. He tried to there, Joe.
Ooh, mistake. I'm not sure if we're going to get a chance to go through the field here because Trangarade continues to give us hairy moments as he slides all over the track. And this is a circuit where we unfortunately can only have so many cameras. Dougie's hands are a bit tied, and it actually makes it better to try and ride on board, as you've been seeing quite a bit so far in this broadcast. This is a car that you never get bored watching those onboard shots.
No, you really don't. And as a driver, you never, you don't have time to get bored in the cockpit either. Your hands are constantly moving. Joe, just a quick observation. AJ Bear is not out of this thing. I mean, he is not himself, but one mistake away in front of him from gobbling up the lead of this race. He's kept himself at a decent pace and just over a second behind Dudagnon right now. He's in good shape, man. I like his chances here still.
And a reminder to our viewers who may have missed the rest of the season, AJ Bear pocketed a win when the other drivers at Oulton Park had problems and he was the last one to survive. So could we see a repeat of that scenario? Meanwhile, as our leaders close in, coming up to Bravery Corner, going to make it through there safely.
Dudagnon clipping the grass just a little bit there, Joe. It slowed him down.
Now they hit Style Strecca up towards the top of the hill. Dudagnon closing in under braking, and they head towards the carousel. Swinging it around that corner, you can see just flashes of AJ Bear behind them. Keeping a close eye. Oh, and Andrew Ang is off. This is the second time I want to say we've seen this.
You know, he was in a battle with Koivitso, and I think he just makes a small mistake here.
I think that was Ellison.
I'm sorry, you're right. It was Ellison. My bad.
Oof, whoa, and Ellison was lucky not to have that car bounce farther back onto the track. Unfortunately, that is going to be it for Ang. He takes a tow. We are now down to 17 cars left. Aiello and Claridge, actually, we should mention, got back out on track. Ravioli has decided to retire the car after he briefly returned. The other cars that have found trouble are Ulstead, Ang, Good, Merrill, Bruno, and Steiner. Dudagnon has dropped off of Trangarade.
Yeah, just a bit. Now he's pushing too hard. I'm watching him back there. He is sliding, throwing a lot of heat to the tires. Man, right there, he was drifting it.
Well, that cost him another 10th. Right there in itself, 2 tenths, as he continues to drop and that gap opens.
I'm going to say it again. I don't think this is any small surprise that Ove Trangrade has found his way to the top of this field.
The ringmaster out there up at the front. There are certainly specialists for this track. Some drivers don't care what car is racing here. If they see it on the schedule, they will hop in.
Yeah.
They will give it a go.
Yeah, and I think by the numbers that we've seen today here in the race, I think that tells you what kind of popularity it has and brings out guys that we haven't seen before, like an Alex Albert right now, who's running in 5th place. He started in 9th. The Virginia driver, honestly, I don't recall seeing him this season, but man, he is out there wheeling this thing around. And, he's in a situation right now where Billy Bob would have to make a pretty good mistake for him to get up to 4th, but Alex doesn't have anybody pressing him right now, and it's just him in the track.
Well, that was good timing for Ove Trangarade to extend that gap, because with the slipstream, that allowed Dudagnon to get back within half a second, but he wasn't close enough to make an attack. Wonder if he could do it again this lap and start to stretch away at a critical time. Oh, and Onhola seems to have had an off himself. And this, I believe, was...
Ooh. He's going to get some curb here, Joe. Again, that curb's playing, wreaking havoc on another Lotus 49.
When he hit the wall hard.
Yeah, he did. He comes all the way back across, and it's a real tank slapper. Let's go on board with him.
This is after Flansgarden, before the Beloff S's. That's another one of those points where the car actually gets a tiny bit of air. He is limping now, so... Oh, and first place under threat. Dudagnon now within 2 tenths of a second. The Frenchman challenging. He wants to take that back away. Doesn't want to wait until the end. Looks to the inside. Coming up to the Swedish cross and makes a pass.
Win. I think we've got a good replay here, Joe, of him getting a little bit of air.
Yeah, the farther left on this straightaway coming up to the Swedish cross, the bigger it is. That was a big hop. Oh, that took some guts.
He might have trouble walking after this race. I'm just going to leave it right there. And it's like, if you're Ove Trangrade, what do you do after that? I mean, where's the encore to that?
We've watched Ove race enough. I think that's going to cause him to double down, if anything. And don't forget Bear, now because of that battle once again.
I was just about to say that, Joe. Don't forget about the Bear. He is back there and he is lurking. I think he's hungry.
Drops off a little bit there as they come up to miss. Just didn't get a good corner exit. I keep talking about bravery, and yes, this is not real, and yes, there's, nobody's going to be hurt out here, but man, your palms are sweating when you drive this thing, Sean. The fear is there.
It is, yeah. It's virtual fear, right? Okay, and it really is a rush. I mean, it's a shot of adrenaline, man. You talk about the sweating. It's very real. Absolutely. I mean, you feel it's the competitive nature in oneself that you feel like, you feel obligated to do well. You don't want to wreck. Nobody wants to wreck, really. I mean, unless we're doing a demo derby. We're not doing that here today, are we, Joe?
Some would debate that. But those drivers might not be out on track right now as we watch them climb through Kessel Chin again. And this time, Dudignon stretching away, interestingly. Not sure if Michel was just toying with him and he's found something a little bit deeper. That gap now up to 7/10. Meanwhile, Brett Real, remember, he had an off through Metzgefeld early on. Well, he's got himself up to 7th, and he's rallying back. Up ahead of him is Benjamin Zocco.
Yeah, and he is really in a good spot here to maybe pick up another position. He started in 6th place. Phil Blake back here battling Michael Sullivan, gets around him here, up to 12th.
And Lake is on a tear, actually. He just passed Rafico less than a minute ago. So that's 2 cars in 1 lap. And that's a lapped car, so that's not 3 that he's just getting by. That's Marcelo Aiello trying to pull aside. Remember, Lake had that big problem when he was battling with Jack Ulstead. Despite the damage, he's brought that Martini livery car back out. And he's got another 18 seconds to catch Justin Hall. That is possible around this track.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is.
Switching back up to our leaders who have now hit Bruchin.
Joe, they're going to catch the white flag this time by here. And well, as you can see on screen, nothing is over yet. Ove still fighting for this.
Yeah, and I think when that white flag will fly, the racing gloves are off. And these two are going to be duking it out for the win. Of all the races during the season that you want to take the P1 away and get the trophy and spray the champagne, this is probably near or at the top of the list. And Dudignon getting all kinds of squirrely coming through the Beloff S's. Here they come through the mini carousel one more time. Trangrade's done it once before up the Darinojoa. Can he do it again? He's within striking distance. They come through Gallo Hill. Trangrade taking it all the way to the edge of the track, actually getting 2 wheels off from the angle I was looking at. That big hole in the air getting punched once again. He reels in Dudignon. Does he want to pass this time, though? Does he feel he can hold him off? Yes, he does. Looks to the inside. They come up to Antonius Beach one more time. Trangrade is fully passed. Comes back to the racing line. Can he hold it on this time? Oh, he has to lift big time. And Dudignon comes back at him. They're going to go too wide up in the Tiergarten. Who can hold on to it? It's a battle of the wills. Still too wide. Trangrade's not giving it up. Almost makes contact, but somehow Michel takes it away.
Don't feed the bear, guys. Don't feed the bear.
AJ now licking his chops. He knows he could be within this. He has to hold on. He's got to use everything he can to stay within striking distance. Up until Darinojoa, it's going to take a full lap of trying as hard as he can. Climbing down through the S's to High Oaks now, one of the critical corners. Every driver going to be looking to get a good exit out of here. And they stretch apart once again. Here comes Flugplatz. Always a bit of a question mark. The car could land badly. Everybody hitting it nicely, though. And the way, the attitude of Dudignon's car just looks like he is pushing it as hard as he can. We understand that something happened to Koivisto. I didn't catch that. Sean, did you happen to see what happened to the Finn back there?
You know what? I didn't. I'm trying to find it right now here.
Well, while Sean is looking for that, let's continue to watch this battle up for the lead. Sean will break in if he figures out what happened there. You can already see behind them Bear losing touch a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, did you find it?
I did, Joe. You know what? He misses it. I think we've got a replay of it, but we'll save it until after the end of the race.
Now heading to Metzgefeld. Our two leaders starting to become clear once more. Not worrying about the Australian behind them. Traeger just holding onto that gearbox. Plunging downhill now. Weaving their way back and forth now. The marginal right-handers, 3 apexes there through miss, hit, miss. And to me, it looked like Dudignon was a lot stronger. Marginal braking once again down into Defense Valley, but both drivers getting in there well. Dudignon just slightly better. Wheeling this car, trying to find every 10th on every possible corner around this track to get himself out of the draft of Ove Tranqueray.
Joe, I'm going to let you stay with that one. I'm going to keep watching this battle between Zelko and Reale. Very close here. Zelko trying to stay on point.
To give you an idea. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say, to give you an idea of how far apart cars have stretched, the last car on the lead lap, Laurent Raffago, is 3 minutes behind our leaders. They're at Kesselchen now, out of the valley and climbing uphill, up towards Bravery Corner. Tranqueray starting to look like he's losing ground a little bit. Up and over Klostertal. And into Stylstrecke they go. Carousel coming up next. Over that little crest, dipping it down into the banking. Both of them keeping the cars nice and tucked in. And there is where Tranqueray makes up his time. 2/10 gained in that corner alone. Coming up to the highest part of the circuit now. Hohe Acht. Tranqueray follows him around, staying in his tire tracks. Oh, and Brett Reale is taking a tow.
Yeah, he was fighting here to get this position away, and from Zelko, and it was a great fight until he made a small mistake, Joe.
And small mistakes become big ones as Bravery Corner gobbles up another driver. Tell you what, Laurent Raffago is going to take a nice little 11th place, it looks like, potentially a top 10 even. He's usually a bit of a back marker, but he's been keeping the car together, and that is oh so important around the ring. Meanwhile, we jump back up to our battle for the lead as it comes down to the dying stages of the lap. Out of Flansgarden they go. Dipping. Whoa, wow. Tranqueray looked like he got really loose there. Oh, and he has a couple wheels off, and that is critical. Coming through the Beloff S, Ove Tranqueray starts to lose touch. It is now 1.5 seconds behind Michel Dudignon, our leader. Is that the death knell of Ove Tranqueray's hope for a win around here? Could this be Dudignon finally getting himself within striking distance of taking the lead away in the points. It's not going to give it to him if they finish as they are. Trangrade starting to see AJ Bear in his mirrors. Bear could maybe take second away from him.
We'll see. You're going to see everybody scrambling here down the dot in their hoe, not, trying to break the momentum in the draft of the driver behind him.
I think Trangrade is just a little bit too far behind. Oh, heartbreak for the Norwegian, but a beautiful moment for the Frenchman, as Michel Dudignon only has one more time of braking to worry about. Down into Tiergarten. Trangrade trying to make up the ground as well as he can, but into turn 13, Michel Dudignon comes around the final corner, and he's going to take the win here at the Nürburgring. Trangrade takes second, Bear with a beautiful podium, and then a whole 49 seconds back, only now coming on to the Dottinger Hoa is Billy Bob Wright, but survival mode is still a respectable finish for the Floridian, because the number 11 is going to take home a beautiful fourth place.
Boy, and hats off to Alex Albert, the Virginia driver. Joe up 4 spots, sitting here in 5th.
Also, newcomer Richard Morin, he is actually within striking distance of 9th. I think Lake just took that away from him, though. But he's going to get a top 10 out there. Justin Hall as well, sitting in 8th spot. Haven't really given him hardly any screen time. He's looking like he is going to bring that home. Oh, and so did something happen to Billy Bob Wright? Oh no, he's finished the race. Zoko, though. Zoko's trying to get the car turned around. Oh, and he loops it around once again. He must have had a serious problem. Oh, no, I think... no, it looks like Zoko's finished. Okay, he's gotten past the start-finish line. It looks like it's early on.
Yeah, so, a little confusion there at the end.
And Thomas Ellison going to come home in a nice 7th. Looks like Justin is going to get that 8th place. And with a number of cars on the lead lap, it's a long time to try and let them get through. That means we're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back after a moment with the official results, as well as driver interviews. And on screen, don't forget, well, all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the Nürburgring, where we just watched round 8 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. What a race, a battle for the lead the entire 6 laps, around this course. And in the end, unfortunately, it petered out at the final moments, but still was exciting all the way up to there because Michel Dudignon managed to hold off Ove Trangrade, Michel taking the win, Trangrade having to settle for second. And that's going to swing Michel ever closer to try to peel that lead away in the championship points. AJ Bear improving his chances in this championship as well, taking third in the final podium spot. Billy Bob Wright finishes in fourth with Alex Albert, newcomer. A fantastic top 5 from him. Hope to see you back, Alex. This is apparently a good car for you. Benjamin Zocco finishes in 6th with Thomas Ellison in 8th. And Thomas Ellison in 7th, Justin Hall in 8th, and Philip Lake finishing in 9th. Richard Warren rounds out our top 10.
Huh. Okay. I've got Laurent Raffago actually in 10th, but I don't know. We'll see here how that shakes out. All right. Then 11th, here we go. Brett Reale, Laurent Raffago in 12th, Michael Sullivan 13th, Hideki Koivitso 14th, Jack Olstead 15th, Mick Claridge 16th. Man, having some tough luck this season, but he did come back out to get to 16th. So good job there, Mick. Tommy Unhola 17th, Andrew Eng 18th, Marcelo Aiello going to hang on there for 19th, and Don, tell me something good, 20th.
Then in 21st, Andre Pruno with Evan Merrill looking like he could have gotten a 4th even, the newcomer, but it was not to be. He finishes 22nd, Marco Ravioli 23rd. And then 24th is Michael Steiner. Now, we have some of our interviews to go through. Let's start with Billy Bob Wright, who takes a 4th here today. Billy Bob, you may have been quite a ways back, but we kept talking about it during the broadcast. Sometimes survival is a very valid strategy around this course.
Yeah, that was my strategy coming in for sure, guys. I tell you, the biggest problem I had and the thing that almost made me crash over and over again is I was watching my F3 screen of that battle at the front. Man, that was intense. I can't wait to see the broadcast.
Oh, you're going to have a treat going back and watching that one. Now, yeah, you've had a pretty darn good season. You're still within the top 5 sheets on the points, and obviously this will keep you there. I mean, with only 4 races left to go, what seems possible for you?
Like I said, Joe, last week, I'm just here to race and do the best I can. Those guys, I mean, I got to give hats off to those front 4, man. The speeds those guys are turning are just literally unbelievable to me. I mean, I spent a little bit of time this week working on my set and trying to go quicker, and I can't get anywhere close to those guys. So I'm just hoping that it turns out okay in the end. With a little bit of luck, those guys maybe crashing or something. I could do well. I'm just going to see how it works, how it shakes out.
Yeah, and speaking of crashes, up next is Bathurst. Now, to you, which do you consider more difficult, the Nordschleife in this car or Bathurst?
I actually really like both these tracks. Now, I didn't at first, when I first started this on the service, I didn't like either one of them, but I've kind of found my place there, and it really is just a survival mode. And the last few races in this car or the MX-5, I've done really well at Bathurst, so I'm looking forward to that track. I like it. It's fun to drive, and the carnage is usually a big issue, so hopefully my luck will continue and I can pull something off there as well.
All right. We look forward to seeing you race in Australia. And again, congratulations on a 4th, Billy Bob.
Thanks, guys. I'm off to watch the broadcast. Should be a good one. See you next week.
Well, we had Alex Albert waiting, but he seems to have disappeared. Alex,
No.
Alex, if you're listening, come on back, bud. We were looking forward to get to talk to you. It's
I was
I
was looking forward to talking to Uncle Albert. Sorry. No, seriously, it would have been nice to talk to him. It's a shame he had a heck of a drive, Joe. I mean, I don't recall seeing him here before, but the Virginia driver, he of almost 4,300 I rating, comes in here and puts on a heck of a show. To finish 5th and started back there in 9th. It's come back, race some more with us. We love it.
Definitely. And he finished only 2 seconds off of Billy Bob Wright. And Billy Bob's a regular in this car. That says something about Alex, that he was, as at least first time out that we've seen him in this car, he's able to stay within the leaders that close.
Joe, it's funny. I'm still in the session, and there are still drivers on track trying to tackle the Nordschleife here. We've been done for well over 5 minutes, more than that. And Andrew Ng out here still wheeling it around.
Oh, here he is. All right, we've got him back. Let's bring Alex in so that Sean can talk to our newcomer and see what he thinks about the car.
Alex, welcome aboard. And boy, what a race for you, man. You finished 5th and with a pretty hefty crowd. I mean, just about everybody was here this week. This can't be the first time you've run the Lotus 49.
No, actually, Thursday was the first time I had ever raced it, and I crashed out.
Wow.
So I wanted to, finish one of these.
Well, what are your impressions of the car?
It's definitely tough to drive, but it's very rewarding to get it right, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was on the grid of a Formula One race.
Well, okay, you don't just earn your road racing chops in a street stock. So, what is your forte here on the iRacing service?
I raced a lot of SRF. I used to race GTC. Did a lot of the Mustang. Won the overall before. Currently racing SRF and the Radical on Wednesday nights. My team's trying to make the Radical cool again, so we're hosting the Huge Ass Cup. Wednesdays 9 p.m. Eastern. I guess that'll be changing this week, but come on out. We have a dedicated point system, and we've had some big grids, almost split a couple weeks ago.
Listen, I ran in a series with the Radical, one of my favorites, man. Love that car. Thanks for throwing that plug out there, because you know what, somebody needs to champion the Radical. It is awful fun to drive, and it's I don't know, comparable to an MX-5 on like the most powerful steroid known to man, would you say?
Oh yeah, for sure. We Team Huge Ass, we're an endurance racing team, so hopefully we can identify some people that can have some potential in the prototypes and can maybe join us for some of the longer races next year.
All right. Well, hey, listen, Alex, thanks for coming back to talk to us, and hopefully we'll see you back out next week. We're heading to Mount Panorama, baby.
All right. Well, maybe I'll see you there. And thanks for getting me on the air.
All right. And our thanks to Alex again. Alex Albert coming in today and having a great run with the Lotus 49 regular show.
Definitely, and we always like plugging some of the lesser popular cars here on GSRC. Give them a little bit of love, because there's some great ones that deserve more attention here on the iRacing service. And of course, Alex enjoying getting that team name plug in. But we're going to wrap up today. We're, of course, going to thank Jack Woolstead and Benjamin Soko for helping organize the Lotus 49 guys and bring this to air. And of course, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. And of course, a mention again, 2 days ago, Casey Lalonde just put out his new album on Bandcamp. So go check that out. And you can actually listen to it before you buy it if you want to go and hear what it's like before laying down the money. Of course, we also want to thank the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we're on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Next week, we go down under to Bathurst. That is a very tough combination with this car, very scary. And that'll be Saturday, November 11th. Now, that is at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Remember, daylight savings time is happening between now and the next race, so keep that in mind here in the States. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.